Hey guys, Novaexplosion. Welcome back to more Star Ocean, Second Evolution, Claude story, Redux, etc. We are here, level 39. I want to see really quick if there are going to be any private actions before we move on. We should be getting to some crazy, I don't know about crazy, but we should be getting to some stuff happening today. The plot's really going to get rolling, I feel, in like the next like 2-ish hours. Before we do that, though, I want to see if there are any private actions to do. A port town built for sole purpose of exploring the unknown. I'm sure this has got to be a forklift. I think I talked to Opera. I vaguely remember that. Doing some shopping. Bowman, do you have anything? I talked to Bowman already. Where's Leon? Maybe Leon has something? I was looking at private actions because I was really curious if I missed any good ones. They are very strict. This game's private action time slot is very, very strict. I think there are like private actions before Kurik gets destroyed. There's like private actions like that only happen before, like right before one story event. They are very, very time sensitive. Insanely. So unfortunately we probably missed out on some private actions, but like there's not much I can do. Unless I'm glued to a guide, then there's just not much I can do. But we're just gonna get as many as I can. I think later in the game there are a lot more like, hey, they're not as missable, or they're a lot easier to get because you have full parties. I'm just looking for Leon and then I'll be on my way. Ocean Survival, hey, name of the game. Hit me. Anything here? I bought all this, just making sure. I wish you would say, like, hey, ×1, you really have this, but, you know, just gets the job done, too. There's Leon. He's right there. He probably doesn't have a private action if he's, like, out in the open. It's really unfortunate because, man, private actions are such a neat thing in Star Ocean. They're, like, probably the only way you can really get deep insights to the characters. But they're so easy to miss. I think a lot later in this game they're a lot easier to find, but even then. Anyway, let's head to the Liqueur front lines. I think that's where we're going. Oh no, aren't we going back to Liqueur? No, we're going back to Liqueur, not Liqueur front lines. So let's go to Liqueur first. I'm ahead of myself. We go to the Liqueur front lines a little bit later. So Raptor, welcome to the stream.
We got enemies.
Let's get moving.
Do you think the game is harder based on who you recruit?
It's all that she wrote.
No. I think it's not a matter of it's gonna be harder depending on the there are characters better than others, yeah. I think unless you have, at least if you have a full party, you could beat the game fine. I think it's more a matter of you're gonna either struggle in the beginning or not. Because, put it like this. For example, I recruited Opera and Ernest. I did not recruit Ashton. If I had recruited Ashton, I would have had an easier time in the beginning. But since I didn't recruit Ashton, I had to deal with Claude, Reyna, possibly Celine if you want her, for a decent amount of time. So, I think I had more trouble in the early game because I didn't have an extra fighter.
Dr. Guest, how did it go, sir?
But no, it's not going to be drastically difficult if you recruit different characters. There are definitely characters better than others, and there are some that aren't that good. But overall, like, you could beat the game just fine. Because, like, Claude is really pretty overpowered, and, like, you have... I mean, unless you don't beat the game with just Claude and Reyna, then, you know. If you get a full party, then yeah, I think the game is beatable with anyone. But there are definitely some better than others.
Couldn't have gone better. Can't talk now, though. Gotta report to the king.
Oh, yes, sir. Excuse me.
If we're talking like, hey, have a full party, like, obviously don't count if you don't have a full party, obviously you're gonna struggle because, you know, the game is not meant to be beaten with just Claude and Reyna. But, honestly, if you have a full party, you can beat the game just fine. It's just a matter of if you're gonna struggle in the beginning without, like, that extra character like I did, or if you have Ashton, it's not as difficult. But the game is perfectly beatable with as long as you have a full party.
The king and your parents are waiting for you, Dr. Guest.
I'll be in the throne room as soon as I can. Let's get moving, dude. I don't have time for any side trips right now.
Out there about 2/3 of Survive, I think. And I should keep up with tactics. I was watching I was watching Chaos play Survive because I'm like, hey, I'm not sure if I'll like the game, and I like tactics, so I'll take a look. I don't know. Putting aside the visual novel parts, the gameplay looks like fine. It doesn't look super like deep or anything, but it looks fine. I feel like I might enjoy it. Maybe I'll come around to it at some point. It didn't look like, hey, amazing, like Fire Emblem amazing, but it looked fine. I played Arc the Lad 2, and Arc the Lad 2 was a great game, but it was more about the story and the characters with that game. The gameplay was just kind of there, so. Xenoblade 3 I've looked very little into. I've been more looking into Digimon Survive than I have Xenoblade 3. And I need to go to the king. What am I doing? But yeah, especially if I like, again, Arc the Lab was a good game.
Welcome back, Dr. Guest. We've been waiting for you.
Arc the Lab's one of my favorite games of all time, but I don't love that game because of the combat's fine. It's there. It's like good. The animations are good. I love the attack animations of Arc the Lad, but the actual combat is like, it's there. It's fine. It gets the job done. It's not like awful, but it's not like amazing. But the story and the characters and the setting of Arc the Lad 2 are great, so it makes going through the gameplay worth it. IMO. So, I don't know. It depends on everything else about Digimon Survive. Like, if everything else about Digimon Survive is good, then I wouldn't mind the gameplay being, like, you know, bare bones. It's just there to fill in the gaps. Because, of course they need a fun game, right? You want the game to be fun and fun gameplay, obviously. But I really want good story and characters. If you have good story, more characters. If your characters are good, and if your story's, like, at least okay, then your gameplay can be, like, obviously, it can't suck. It's gotta be at least good. But if it can be, like, pretty simplistic, and I'll play it. Dragon Quest XI's probably a perfect example. Although Dragon Quest XI's combat is, like, you know, Dragon Quest XI's combat, it's there, classic turn-based, but I love the characters. The story's okay, and I just love, exploring Dragon Quest XI, so. But yeah, totally. It depends on how Survive handles everything else. Then I can just overlook the combat. Although the combat has to at least be, like, not terrible. Maybe one day. Maybe I'll pick up Survive one day.
Everywhere he goes, he's Dr. Guest.
It's a game... It's a visual... Hold on. I was drinking water. Visual novel, tactics, gameplay. Wouldn't say phenomenal. Yeah, like... I never played the visual novel. Unless you count Persona 4 Arena Ultimax. Because that is, the cutscenes are kind of visual novel-esque. But even then, like, I don't know if that really counts. If that doesn't count, then I have not played a visual novel ever. So, it just depends on how the characters in the story are, and if they're, like, that good, then I'll be like, hey, the gameplay can be, like, as bare bones and there as it wants, you know?
I'm relieved to see you back, Leon. How did the ore mining expedition go?
I have the ore with me right now, sire.
Ah, brilliant. I knew you'd live up to your promise, Leon. Right then, Floreth and Murdoch, let's finish up work on the Liqueur Hope as quickly as possible.
Yes, sire. Check it out, Mom! I got it! The real thing!
Mind your manners, Leon. You are in front of the king.
We will begin the final construction phase on the Liqueur Hope immediately, Your Majesty. Would Leon be able to come with us? We will need his expertise on site.
Yes, by all means. Now, how should I deal with you?
What? Deal with us?
Now, there's nothing to be angry about. We have already conducted a full background check on your party. It fully matches the story you gave us. You are investigating the sorcery globe on behalf of the King of Cross.
What do you have to send the dogs out on our tails for? Were we really that suspicious?
I mean, you and Ernest have 3 eyes, so I guess, everyone in Expel should be kind of suspicious about that.
But there's little doubting you now. In fact, I realize that you are more than worthy of my entire kingdom's trust.
So, what would you like from us, Your Majesty?
Star Ocean 3 is harder based on who you recruit. Is it really, though? Star Ocean 3 has the better optional characters. Like, Allbell sucks. And Roger isn't that great either. Pepita and Nell are the best optional characters, but you can beat Star Ocean 3 without using them, because you got Fate Maria.
Ah, you'd like to cut to the chase. Very good. To make a long story short, I want your talents where I need them the most. At the frontline base, aiding our armed forces.
The frontline base?
As I'm sure you know, the base is currently under attack from an army of ghastly monsters. Any ship leaving for L would have to depart from the base. With things being as they are, I can't possibly do that for you right now. Without a powerful weapon on our side, forming a fleet capable of navigating to L is a near impossible task.
So you need us to buy you some time until the Liqueur Hope is complete. Is that it?
Precisely. I knew the heroes from Cross would understand. You want to get to L? I want to get to L. It's the perfect arrangement, wouldn't you agree?
We really don't have any other choice. Besides, we aren't the kind to sit and watch the monster hordes capture Liqueur in one fell swoop.
We have a deal then. I'd like you to set off for the frontline base as quickly as possible. I'm counting on you, my friends.
Let's get it. I've seen a bit of Survive, basically, is what I'm saying, by the way. I want to continue the conversation. I don't like to keep talking during cutscenes because, you know, people are like, hey, dude, play the game. People that are actually watching Star Ocean. But, from what I've seen from Survive, like, the cutscenes and, like, the visual novel stuff, again, the gameplay we talked about, everything else I've seen about the game, you know, it doesn't look like something I want to be getting yet. But, like, honestly, like, the gameplay looks fine, but nothing about anything else has, like, solely convinced me about the game, so. I'm not saying it's impossible to buy the game, I probably will, but I definitely wouldn't mind waiting a little bit.
What a bother.
We can win this! I hope.
No hoping allowed, only doing. Just like Core.
Nothing can escape this one.
Yo, nothing can escape Ernest's whip.
Pathetic, huh?
Remember when we had 3 characters and now we have 7? Wild. Anyway, back to what Arietta was saying about Star Ocean 3. I don't think Star Ocean 3... Sure, the optional characters are imbalanced. I think Roger and Allbell are a lot worse than Nell and Pepita. But I wouldn't say the game is harder because that's only 2 characters that you add.
Is that it?
Don't underestimate.
And plus, I think the main story of Star Ocean 3 is, like, kind of easy. I think SO3 is kind of an easy game in the main game.
Easier than I thought.
So while it may technically, you may think of it as being harder if you use them, but honestly, I don't think it really makes the difficulty, like, hard per se. I do think Main story Star Ocean 3 is really, really easy. Post game gets hard, but the main game is kind of a pushover, kind of a joke. Up, 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 up. Where am I going here? Shop, you say? Some good weapons to buy. Yeah, we can get the Talon Knuckles for Bowman. We have a lot of money. Might as well buy stuff. Just be careful if we want physical. I would get it sooner rather than later. Oh, well, I mean, if there's some kind of, like, limited thing, then I'll... If worse comes to worse, I'll buy it. If I want it that badly, I'll buy it digital. I normally like physical games, but I have some games digital. So, like, you know. If I really want it that badly, I'll just, like, buy it digital. It's fine. I also heard they're having, like, the whole Guillemon nonsense about, like, not everyone getting Guillemon or something like that, which is, pretty whack. From what I've heard. Looks like we might give a little talk to those researchers. They're fooling the citizens of Liquor. The base isn't gonna hold those. Oh, this is where I'm supposed to be.
Welcome to the Frontline Base HQ. I'm glad to have all of you joining us here.
Thank you, sir.
You should get it digital. You should get it if you buy. Oh, digital gets it like guaranteed. I think Wildcat might have told me that. I was in call with Wildcat like a few days ago. I think he might have mentioned that. Honestly, that's more incentive to. I mean, I might just buy it if I ever do get the game, which again, not guaranteed. I'll probably just buy it digital if there's a problem with getting it physical. And you have an extra code, which I appreciate. But even if you didn't have an extra code, I don't get Guillemon, I don't get Guillemon. But that would be great. If I do buy the game, I'll hit you up.
I believe the King of Liquor will continue to send us fresh soldiers from tomorrow onward. You were chosen for your strength and skill for this job. I'll need every ounce you've got for our efforts against that monster army.
Game does a better job balancing optional characters, in my opinion. I can agree with that. I do think the characters in this game are better balanced. There are still some better than others. You're always going to have characters better than others in most games, so I could agree with that. I do think they do a better job, but that doesn't mean Star Ocean 3 is like, oh, really, really difficult. You could still beat Star Ocean 3 really easily with any character, but I can agree with that statement, Arietta. I can agree with that.
Are the odds against our side, sir?
Why do you ask?
This is the first time I've seen Liquor hire outsiders to help fight a war, sir.
That's preposterous! We just want to teach the monster army a lesson they'll never forget!
I'll leave it at that then, sir.
Well, enough briefing for today. You'll be up bright and early tomorrow. Make sure you're ready to deploy by that time, people!
Hi. Pull yourself together, sir. You're the commander-in-chief. Okay. Are you accusing me of lying? We're winning this war without a doubt. You don't sound so sure of yourself.
Diaz was there, Claude. Did you see him?
Yes, the room wasn't that big, and I have eyes.
Yep, I sure did.
Well, why aren't you happy to see him?
No, I'm happy, but I'm kind of irritated at the same time. It's hard to explain.
I see. I suppose you would be.
Sorry, I'm acting weird.
Oh, not at all. I think I might feel the same as you. Diaz left my village without so much as a goodbye 2 years ago. Everyone back home is still worried sick about him, and that irritates me, of course. But whenever I see him, I can't help but feel a little relieved.
I don't think we're gonna get Diaz's backstory. I'm pretty sure you only get Diaz's backstory with Reina's story.
Reina, I want to ask you something.
You get the gist of it, but I think they have like a flashback and everything for Reina's story.
What?
Why did Diaz leave your village?
Well...
You really want to know?
Oh, maybe I am gonna get a flashback? I hope I do. It's been a while since I played Claude's story.
Long time no see. Or maybe not, come to think of it. I just met you at the armory contest.
Can't stop bumping into each other, can we?
I guess we can't avoid each other somehow. That or someone's playing a joke on us.
Who? Me?
Well, either way, I needed a new battle to fight, so this is where I wound up. You're here for the same reason, aren't you? Yeah, you're after the sorcery globe. Superb. But that quest has a little side effect of putting you in near constant combat, doesn't it? I hope you aren't going to tell me that you're a pacifist, not when you're doing what you're doing right now.
Well, if I hadn't ended up on this planet in the first place.
Claude?
It wouldn't be a Star Ocean game if the first, like, third of the game was on an underdeveloped planet.
Sorry. I need to talk to Diaz for a moment. I've never seen him talk like this. I don't know what to say.
What do you mean?
I think Diaz knows the truth about you. I can sense it. He looked at you, and I think he's changed all of a sudden.
Well, it goes against the UP3, so I'm gonna have to kill him. I'm gonna have to, like, repair my phase gun and kill him for that information.
Changed?
I'll be right back, okay? Don't worry about me. I'm like a little sister to him.
Sister?
Something about the word sister seems to have you in a chipper mood, Claude.
It means that she's still available.
Whoa, what are you talking about? Come on, let's go get some fresh air.
Oh, Claude. Claude is so dense. Maybe we won't get Diaz's story. I remember there's a part where Reina, I almost said Rena again, like Tales of Her Eyes, where Reina goes to Diaz and they have a talk and you see his flashback. I'm not sure if we're going to get that flashback though with Claude. Probably not. But then when Diaz came, I was like, oh wait, maybe we are. And now I'm like, maybe we won't. Oh, hey.